Hello, my name is Apple of Doom and welcome to another Geometry Dash video. I'm really excited to get into today's video because I've got some crazy effects I want to go over. So if you're also excited for today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, because that's a thing now apparently, and leave a comment down below letting me know how you're liking this series. Now with the intro out of the way, let's get going. So I've spent a lot of time putting together the third and final path, being path Z. In the last video we worked on X and Y, but take a look at this. I was really excited with how this turned out. We got all the little screens kind of turning on. You climb up different paths. These are all random paths as well, although I've just set it to 1 just for debugging purposes at the moment. And then we go into this part and oh man, I love how this looks. And I hope you guys do too. And of course after I've just got another little bit of gameplay that will lead into the final section. So if I'm being honest, I was hoping to have the entire layout finished by this week, but this section alone has taken so much time, it's actually unbelievable. I wish I could change the color of the background, but as you can see, it kind of does what it wants. There are no background color triggers here. Let's just put one down and try and fix it so I can show you guys a bit better, because it's very broken. It's reversed. This level's so hard to make. Everything's breaking on me. I don't like Geometry Dash. Just kidding, I love it. But anyways, how the hell did I pull off this whole effect? Now, there's actually a level I want to show you that inspired it. Now, Aperture was a level that placed pretty highly in the last Gauntlet contest, and it is inspiring me to make this current level. So with my level, I want to aim for Mythic, right? And so I want to have in really cool effects and, you know, transitions and stuff like this level does, for example, because this is a Mythic level, of course. And I'll show you exactly the bit that inspired me coming up. Now, it's right here where it goes to the side. It's called Aperture because it's about cameras, right? You can see the film camera kind of going through and you're going through it. So this is exactly what inspired my level, right? So at this point, you might be wondering, how the hell do you pull that off? And it's actually very simple. It is just these two triggers. So for the first one, we've got a pinch, and this is mainly what creates the effect. Essentially, what it does is I have the center of the pinch slightly off screen to the right, and it pulls in the X and the Y by a certain amount. And the radius is absolutely massive, so it covers the whole screen. And so what that does is that kind of pulls everything off screen to the right. But that kind of looks weird on its own. So there's another component of it, which is the bulge trigger. And what this does is it expands out the left side of the screen. You can see this is at -1 with a slightly smaller radius, because if you have it the whole size, it really messes up. And so essentially it's just pulling the screen to the right and making the left side a bit bigger. And what I did was I've got a trigger over here. Where is it? There it is. These bulge and pinch triggers that just do the exact reverse. So you can see this pinch trigger is -2, so it's off to the left and the bulge is to the right. And so that's how you create that really cool kind of shift from a left perspective to a right perspective. Now, how the hell does this whole section work? Well, first of all, it doesn't. I tried to have these kind of, I don't know, kind of little fuzzes in between the TVs opening up. And this is where I open it up to you guys. How the hell do you get this to work? Because particle triggers kind of break when you have a lot of effects on the screen. So because I've got the bulge and the pinch triggers, it's just kind of making these so that these don't appear. And I don't know why. It's really, really confusing, because I've got, go to this layer. These are all the triggers that basically do it. So this is basically saying, when you get up to this section, turn off the black screen that's over the top of them, turn on the little particles underneath, and then turn them off. But it isn't working for some reason. So essentially, each of these are rounded out little screens that I've got these black pieces behind. And so those black pieces will disappear as you get towards them. And it makes it look like the screen is turning on. You know, I might add some detail, have them, I don't know, maybe scale in so it looks like it's like switching on like an old TV or something like that. But that's essentially the main component of this level, right? Now to show you another level, I've got this level called Weird that I started working on a while ago. And if I play this, it might look a bit familiar to what we've been making. If I do this in normal mode. This was supposed to be a kind of CRT themes level that I worked on, I don't know, probably 6-7 months ago now. And I just didn't have the motivation to finish. And you can see this is kind of, I guess, a darker version of the aesthetic I want my current level, my random Gauntlet level, to look like. And so this section here is what inspired it. I have this section that scrolls past slowly, and you've got all these portals pulling the player in and out. So if anything, I just wanted to show this off to say, if you have an idea that doesn't work in the moment, but you still think is good, reuse it. You know, steal ideas from yourself, because this, I couldn't get this to work or look quite right or whatever. But in its current form, how I've changed it, I think makes it 10 times better. And I'm sure you guys would agree. Now, if we go back to this, I'm just gonna go over, you know, how the rest of it kind of works. If you haven't watched my previous video, which I recommend you do, I cover this vertical section that has bits going up and up and up and up and up. And so what I did was I essentially had like a dual portal, push one player into one area and another player into the other. And so that means you can desync the players very easily. So I've done the exact same thing here. You can see here, player 1 will go into this one and player 2 will go into this one. And I've got like this kind of area that I call the stasis chamber, right? So let me play through it and I'll show you how it works. So I'll just use the debug mode that I created and I'll cover this a bit later just so everyone can have a bit of a refresher. All right, now I've entered it. I'll pause it. The screen will be a little funky because of all the effects, but you can see that every time you enter and exit, you kind of portal in and out of this area. So this essentially holds the player while they're in between areas. Because it's not going from full left to right, it's going left to right and then down left to right and then up left to right and blah, 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 so on and so forth. You need somewhere for the player to go while it's waiting between each of these screens. And so this is essentially what it is. And then we've got this vertical part, of course, which is, I'll show it in this view so you can properly see it, but here there's a little arrow. Yeah, there we go. And this rotates the gameplay up so that this part goes up and then you go back to normal here with this arrow. So a lot of stuff going on. The other thing I want to mention is these two triggers here are vitally important. Because you've got the player going in and out and being stored, you don't want the player jumping in spots they shouldn't be able to, or, you know, clicking in spots they shouldn't be able to. Otherwise, if you have two players out at the same time and they're in two different spots, if you click once, it moves both of them. Right? So essentially this just enables controls and then disables them once they've exited the area. So extremely important, and I think this part is coming out quite nicely. I'm going to turn back off the background trigger. Where the hell did I put it? There we go. So that's essentially that. I can see all these blue lines are because it's touch triggered. So because I've got this move trigger, which moves this guide, the camera's locked to this guide and it moves at a different speed from the player speed. And so that means even if you're seeing like this section here, the triggers over here might be activating. It gets very confusing. So if I put everything to touch triggered, that means everything happens exactly when I want it to. So that's essentially how this entire section works. Of course, we've got all the little different parts in here that randomly come in. And so I think I'll give everyone a bit of a refresher on how exactly this level works. So right here, this is what determines the entire seed. So there'll be multiple different pieces of gameplay for the same section. For example, here, you can either have this one, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the starting section. And so for each section, we've got a random trigger that'll randomly pick between them. And so I've done that for literally the entire thing. For some reason, the level breaks, it doesn't display these, but these are definitely here. And so essentially, as you move through the level, each part gets added in and you'll get a seed at the end determined by which paths you see. To add to that, I've updated this section in here, the input seed section, to now have path Z. So you can see as I go through the layers, we've got path X here that'll activate, path Y here that'll activate, path Z that'll activate. And I'll show you what it looks like. So here we've got path X, I can change it to path Y, and I can also change it to path Z. And then I can change to whatever number I want. So what I actually want to ask you guys is when I do the final showcase at the end, do you guys want to see one that's randomized, or would you rather see the flat seed of just like one so you can, you know, tell exactly what's going on and how it all works? Which one would you guys prefer? If you're curious as to how I set this up, don't forget to watch the first video I made, which I'll put it up in the top right corner. You can go click on that. Otherwise, that's pretty much all I've worked on. I know it isn't a lot for the amount of time it's been, but making all of this is incredibly time consuming. In the future, I got a suggestion to add different bits of dialogue to the opening cutscene, which I will definitely add in. I think that's an excellent idea. So thank you to whoever suggested that. And I'll work on fixing up the loading screen, making that all nice, finishing up the final bit of gameplay, because the level doesn't quite end yet. It goes through all these sections and then just doesn't end. And then after that, I can finally get onto the designing, you know, all the block design, that sort of stuff. And I think that'll be a lot more fun, hopefully. But the main problem I've had is that it has taken, what, 2 months to make the entire layout, and now I've got 2 months left to design the entire thing, you know, create block designs for every single one of these sections. I'm not sure I'm going to get it done on time, but I guess we'll have to see. My initial idea was I wanted to have, you know, a number of different designs that it kind of cycles through, you know, randomized designs, but I just don't think I'm going to have enough time to do that. So we'll see how it pans out. Hopefully I can smash out the design and it can look great. But for now, that's pretty much it. Time to go over the statistics of the level that I've been doing right at the end. If I go to like a block and the next free group is 975. The layout is not done and I have 974 groups. Oh, what the hell? is a very, very technically demanding level to make. Not only that, but the layout isn't done, and we're at over 15,000 objects. How on earth? That's how many pieces and everything that goes into this. This is an incredibly difficult level to make. And finally, we'll go over the amount of level combinations that are actually possible. So I've been doing this at the end of each video, you know, trying to figure out how many levels it's possible to actually get. All right, so for this first section, there's 5 different possible seeds you can get, and we'll times that by the 8 different sections. So that's 5 to the power of 8. And we'll go to path X and times these combinations. So there's 4 possible seeds you can get and 4 different sections of it. So that's 4 to the power of 4. Then we times that by this final section, which only has 3 paths, but there are 6 sections in total. So that's 3 to the power of 6. Then we'll add path Y. Because these are different paths and you can't get them simultaneously, we have to add them instead of timesing them. Little math thing for you. So that's another 5 to the power of 8. And then we'll times that by, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the power of 8 again. And then we've got to do this all for path Z now. So if we go back to this section, this is once again 5 to the power of 8. And we'll times that by 1, 2, 3, 4 to the power of 11, because there's 11 sections here. And then we'll times that by 1, 2, 3 to the power of 3, because there's 3 sections in this final bit here. So I hope you've been adding that all up, because that comes out to 44,462,287,890,625 different level combinations you can get, and the layout's not done. It's still not done. We're still going, and there's 44 trillion possibilities. Oh, this is too much work. What have I done to myself? This is awful. This is never gonna get done. 1 like equals 1% this gets done. I don't know. This is making me crash out, I'm not gonna lie. So to recap, if anyone can let me know how to make these particle triggers work with all the pinch and bulge triggers that are going on, please let me know, because I'd love for this to work and for it to look a lot better than it actually does right now. The other thing I want to ask is, do you guys want to see a set seed with every showcase at the end of the video, or would you rather have it be a bit more random? And that's pretty much it. In the next video, hopefully I'll have the entire layout done, because apparently everything you're seeing right now is not done, apparently. What the hell? So don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below what you think of the level so far, anything else you want to see in it in the future. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.